Welcome back to another episode of PropSutra with Balaji Rao. Here, we aim to demystify and simplify real estate. On popular demand, we're back with another episode on redevelopment in the state of Maharashtra. This time around, we aim to understand the process through the lens of commercial, technical, and legal aspects while addressing some of the most common concerns and queries. If your society is considering going in for redevelopment or redevelopment is currently underway, this episode is for you. Welcome back to the show, sir.
Thank you.
In this segment, I'd like to talk to you about the commercial aspects of redevelopment. To begin with, how should the tendering process be conducted to appoint a builder?
See, the question is, tendering process is well established in the business world. So, you make a tender, there is a request for proposal, people quote, you evaluate it.
Right.
The question which comes about most of the time is whether it has been widely participated in.
Can you
or
elaborate?
whether it has got squeezed. See, because suppose I put out a tender and only 5 people have replied.
Right.
Maybe 15 people should have replied.
Right.
So was it well circulated, well distributed, well known to all the things? So people will sometimes in a society, people will say, oh, why didn't that A, B or C developer come to us? So if that is the case, suppose members of the society feel very strongly that the 5 people at least they like.
Right.
Then ensure that your tender document goes to each of them and they tell you that they're not interested.
Right.
Instead of the society saying, I just put it up and they didn't respond.
Right. Well, Section 79 recommends that you put up ads in at least 3 newspapers saying inviting bids. And once the bids come in, there is also an element of making a small payment as a token to show your seriousness. And they're supposed to conduct the SGM to select a developer only once they've got a minimum of 3 bids. So if a society follows this due process as recommended, will that help, or do you feel 3 is too little? It should be 5 or 10.
No. See, I am not saying 3 is too little. 3 is a shortlisted number, actually, in my opinion.
Okay.
So the question is, what happens in a society is, and the bigger the society, the more the number of opinions you will get. They might feel, why didn't the big builders come in?
Right.
For example. Or why isn't the builder who is doing the neighboring building come in?
Right.
See, these questions will always haunt all of them.
Right.
Correct? So I am trying to say the process is okay to follow that. Okay, you put it in 3 newspapers, you wait for it, you select 3 and you go ahead. But suppose you want particular builder. I am asking, why won't the PMC take it to that builder? He will, if you ask him. And there is nothing wrong with it.
Okay. Where you send an invitation
you
to a builder.
You send an invitation and ask him, no?
Okay.
Would you like to bid? Yes, we have brought out this tender on this paper. Maybe he didn't see it. Maybe he doesn't. He's not interested.
Right.
But then you can reply back to your general body, the PMC or your redevelopment guy, a committee, that look, we had approached that guy.
Right.
He refused. What can I do?
Yeah.
I can't force him. So you will be able to quell a lot of problems which will come up later. So what I'm trying to say, it is not a question of just rushing through because you got 3 guys and now you want to shortlist out of them only. No. It is a question, that process is the most critical process where everybody gets stuck.
Right.
Because everybody will keep asking you again and again, but why hasn't he done it? That guy's building is great. Why hasn't that done? I'm not saying you can go to 1,000 developers.
Right.
But you collected an SGM or in the redevelopment committee that, look, I'm giving you all a week, come up with all the names.
Yeah, recommend builders.
Recommend all the names. So they'll come up with 70 names.
Yes.
I would suggest that you send it to the 70 people. Whether by email or by post or registered post, the tender document to say, look, I have covered everything, all the names you have given me. If they haven't come back and we have only 5, so be it. I have to live with the 5.
Right.
And if you know out of the 70 someone, please take this document and go to him. No?
Yes.
Tell him to pay up the deposit and apply. No? That stops a lot of problems later on which will come up. Because this, what you're suddenly saying, is the most critical aspect. Unlike what other thing, it is the closure.
Right.
Closure is not, because that is just a negotiation. No?
Right.
Somebody says, I'll give you 42% more. Somebody says 45% more. Somebody says rental 1 lakh. Somebody will say rental 1.5 lakhs.
Correct.
So you can evaluate it because that's quantitative.
Right.
But what happens when somebody says, why didn't you call this guy? So you will say, yes, I put in the newspaper ad and he didn't see it. So they'll say, why didn't you take that extra effort to reach him?
Be more proactive about the process.
This is the place where you have to be most proactive
Okay.
in that whole process.
When it comes to negotiating with a builder, how should a society ensure that their concerns are met? Like, should they ask for a hardship allowance, for brokerage allowance? What is the right combination?
See, by now everybody has a template.
Okay.
You will ask for rental. There is a 20% deposit you have to mandatorily make
Yes.
for the project cost and give a bank guarantee. You will have to give him rental. You might have to give him moving expenses. You might have to add brokerage, what he will need to give for the rental. So all this is almost now cookie cutter.
Right.
The main point is usually the additional area which you will get. That is
Right.
the main critical point, which will be, if I believe it will be the almost maybe 60, 2/3 to 80% of your commercial weightage.
Okay.
You understand?
All right.
Because people fight for that 1% more also.
Right.
Correct? The rest will be much smaller.
Okay.
Starting with, how much rental I'll get, whether they will contribute to the corpus of the new building
Right.
and things like that. So those will be the remaining 1/3 where people will take into this. But it's almost templated now. Everybody has a thing. And based on that, you will evaluate who is bidding what.
Okay. So this argument about how much space goes back to what's determined in the feasibility report. Am I correct in
Correct.
understanding that? So it's important to have that very clear.
Because in the feasibility report, they will tell you, it will be like this. You have 100 people who are occupying 1,000 square feet flats just for...
Yes.
So you have 1 lakh square feet built up already occupied.
Mhm.
The feasibility report says that whatever is the new rules, you can get 2 lakhs.
Right.
Now you can't get all the 2 lakhs because then why will the builder build your new building?
Correct.
So he is actually sharing it with you. No?
Right.
So he says 50-50.
Okay.
That means you will get 50% more and the remaining 50% I will keep.
Right.
So that is what you're negotiating actually.
Okay. That's why it can...
So the feasibility becomes your baseline.
Okay. Can you briefly walk me through the tax implications of redevelopment?
See, the tax implications of redevelopment so far have been somewhat clear, somewhat murky.
Mhm.
As long as you're exchanging your flat for a bigger flat, there is no concept of GST or a capital gains tax. Okay. There is a little bit of a confusion that the capital gains tax exemption is only valid if you get your new flat within 3 years.
Right.
And if you don't, then you have to apply for an extension saying it's not my fault. It is the builder's fault for which I have not got it.
Right.
So that's a separate issue because then it goes into detailing. But purely you will not be under any tax obligation. But however, if you buy additional area from the builder, that can be subject to GST.
Okay.
1% for affordable, 5%
Yeah.
without ITC. And it can also be subjected to for capital gains. We will have to see how it
Right.
impacts. So if it is a pure switch, there is no problem. And any other GST aspects and all that is on the builder, not
Right.
on the buyer or the existing tenant.
Mhm.
So to that extent, I think tax rules are pretty much simple and straightforward.
In this segment, I'd like to talk to you about the behavioral aspects of some of the problems we have. How should a society deal with minority members or dissenting members?
See, there's no question of minority members or dissenting members in a way. Each one has their own issues.
Right.
Okay. Some issues will be that, look, I am too old to move and come back.
Mhm.
So I don't want my flat to go into redevelopment. But they all have to understand one thing, that you have to go as per majority.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
I might not like a specific government in power, but that doesn't mean I leave the country and go now.
Yes.
I'll have to go. In the next election, okay, you can always hope that your party comes back to power.
Right.
Correct? So it is in a similar way when we live in a democracy, we always try to follow the majority.
Right.
So that's a easier one to overcome.
Okay.
That you will explain to the person that, okay, you can't help it. The majority wanted it for redevelopment. The building is deteriorating.
Right.
But the bigger issue comes up where you have not minority or dissenting members,
Okay.
but you have the doubting ones. That
Right.
whether you have been truthful, whether you have been transparent, whether somebody has had an unfair advantage in this transaction vis-a-vis them,
Okay.
you know. So those are the people you have to be careful of.
Right.
So because the hallmark and the cornerstone of every redevelopment first should be that everything should be on the table for everyone to see,
Right.
not just redevelopment committee or the chairman or the secretary.
Right.
This, even your Rule 79A,
Yes.
what you are keeping on referring to, talks about you making a website and uploading everything at all times.
Correct. Yeah.
I absolutely agree with it.
Yes.
Whether you make a website or whether you make a WhatsApp group, from every agenda of the meeting to the minutes of the meeting should be uploaded.
Right.
Even tendering of the meeting, whether the bids have come in, who has been shortlisted. If you keep uploading, and that WhatsApp group or the better than a website is sometimes a WhatsApp group,
Right.
where you tell each one, okay, you are a member of this group,
Yes.
representative of your unit,
Yes.
and you have to look at it. Then somebody can't say, I have not been informed.
Right.
That you suddenly change your decision, or this bidder has suddenly walked out, or now there's only one bidder left in the fray. All that is there for them to see.
Right.
And put a dissenting note also if they
Right.
want on the website or on the WhatsApp group to say, I don't agree with this. Can I get more clarification
Right.
as to why he walked out?
Yeah.
You understand? So the biggest thing is to put the light on it, as we call.
Okay.
Put it under the light. Don't put it under a rock.
Put a spotlight on
Put
everything.
a spotlight on the whole thing. Let it be completely transparent to each and every member, each
Right.
and every aspect. If you can do that, then you will not have these doubting Thomases
Right.
coming up from every nook and corner. Because it is not the person whom they think that who is against it because they're old, because they will understand that they have to go with the opinion, whether
Yeah.
they like it or not.
Yes.
And it is not because of the negotiation also, they'll say, no, that guy was giving 43 and this one was giving 42% more. Because that is also there. The question where people think is, I have not been kept in the loop.
Right.
I do not know. Why have I kept in the dark? Why is it suddenly come up that, we didn't have a choice?
Right.
So that instead of keeping on giving papers all around and getting it signed, I think a website and a WhatsApp group, I would recommend both, is the best bet to ensure that somebody says, I don't know.
Right.
If you don't know, then it's your fault because it's in your phone.
Right. Yeah. Well, 79A also recommends that you give, like you mentioned earlier, a single point of contact. You give an official email ID, a number saying this is my official correspondence.
That is what I said. That is what the lawyer will ensure.
Correct.
He will get a letter from each unit. I would tell him to get a letter to say in this unit there might be 3 owners, but we represent this one.
Right.
You to be the single point of contact with this official email ID and phone. And whatever comes, I will be cognizant of it.
Right.
That's all.
Transparency and trust can be maintained.
It is very essential, transparency and trust, because that leads to truth and that quells everything.
Right. I have some questions about the market in general. Now, redevelopment, especially in congested areas, is always a bit challenging. If you're trying to redevelop a single structure amongst, in a very densely populated area, the builder has challenges. How do I, continue construction, keep my timelines? And a lot of people have a problem, the people living around, whether it's the noise or the pollution or the dust that's being caused. What are your thoughts on it? I mean, is it inevitable that we have to do this?
See, it is inevitable. It is a given because it's a rejuvenation.
Right.
So you can't help it.
Yeah.
It's a completely what I would call a renaissance of a particular micro location, and it is bound to keep on happening. The question is, how do you minimize the disturbance to the minimum?
Right.
You understand? Can you have sound barriers?
Okay.
Can you have coverings to ensure dust doesn't go? Can you water it down so that it's not flying all over?
Right.
Can you ensure that the streets and pedestrian pavements are not encroached upon?
Then, of course, in our state, there's a lot of push for redevelopment right now because it's being combined with the goal of providing housing for all. Now, slum rehabilitation is doing that job of providing homes for people who didn't have homes. But largely the societies that are choosing to go in for voluntary redevelopment, the new flats that are coming up, they're not exactly affordable. So is redevelopment really addressing the affordable housing or housing problem that we have?
It's a very sensitive and tricky question, what you're asking me to comment upon. It is doing good in a way because the slums are moving out and they are getting something, sometimes in situ, sometimes at a distance. But it's also what I think you're trying to tell me is that redevelopments are biased towards luxury housing,
Yes.
premium housing.
Yeah.
That bias comes about because the builder wants his margin. And if he has to have a few flats for free market sale, he'll naturally want to sell it at the highest price
Right.
with the best amenities. There are a few dimensions out here.
Okay.
I don't think affordable housing and redevelopment should go hand in hand.
Okay.
Affordable housing is a housing which has to be subsidized by the government sometimes to ensure that all its citizens are housed.
Right.
That is why you have the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojanas and schemes like that.
Yeah.
So that I don't think should be mixed into saying every redevelopment will it have a component of affordable.
Right.
So there are two different things to answer your question. Slum redevelopment, yes. Now, whether the slum should be in situ or at a distance is a very sensitive issue.
Yes.
Most of them will want to be in situ.
Yeah.
And that is where it is getting squeezed.
Yes.
A more pertinent question to ask out here is, will the density finish off our urban infrastructure? Okay. So if I take, say, the hotspots of redevelopment as what everybody talks about,
Yes.
a Borivali or a Malad or a Bandra or something, because it's all skewed towards the western suburbs.
Yes.
Because half the buildings are in the western suburbs that have gone into.
Correct.
Can they absorb the density of people if I increase the population 3x?
Can the infrastructure handle
Can the
it?
infrastructure handle it? Can the power handle it? Can the water handle it? Can the sewage handle it? Can the roads handle the traffic density?
Right.
I tend to believe they can't because it has not been well planned.
Right.
You're giving approvals
Mhm.
without figuring out in that square kilometer what is the density.
Right.
Like in a planned place, like even in a place like Gurugram in NCR, there is a concept of a density in each sector.
Right.
So they will not let you increase the density in that sector beyond that point.
Right.
Now, you can get the density in one 550-story tower or 510-story tower, that's a different issue.
Mhm.
But there's a concept as how many people should be there.
Correct.
So we should have that concept even in our localities and not assume that our infrastructure is completely flexible
Right.
and can be expanded.
But theoretically, the DCPR is what lays this information down, right? You get your
No.
FSI based on this.
Correct. But if you see the DCPR is now changing to the width of the road.
Oh.
How does the width of the road ensure that you'll give me a new water line?
Fair enough.
How will it ensure whether you're not doing that? No?
So the DCPR isn't covering every aspect.
It is, and it definitely doesn't cover density per square kilometer and all that so much.
Okay.
So we are overloading in certain areas.
Right.
And that itself will kill the premiumness of that place. No?
Correct. Well, you said like affordable housing, a large component of cost is land. So in premium areas, there's that question, why people feel a bit of, heartache when somebody is given a house in a premium area, whereas, say, somebody else has to buy it.
Correct. So there is a heartache because you're feeling the slums have had a free ride. But you can look at it that way and you can look at it, they will be there.
Right.
You can't remove them. So
Yeah.
it's better if they're, housed better.
Of course.
Everything becomes better, hygiene, health, everything improves. So I don't get into that. But one of the things which I want to point out as you're talking about this bias towards luxury and premium housing, especially in redevelopment projects, old tenants are hardly ever in a position to pay for the new amenities.
Correct.
Correct?
Yes.
Like in my earlier example, when I said there's 1,000 square feet guy who's getting a 1,500 square feet,
Yeah.
he doesn't think his maintenance will multiply by 5 times.
No. Yes.
And when it does, he gets a shock.
Right. Well,
Okay. Because the new guy who buys a 1,500 square feet at a new price, or whether it is 10 crores or whatever it is,
Right.
he's in a position to pay even 1 lakh maintenance
Right.
because he can afford to buy a flat of 10 crores.
Right.
But this new guy who's got a 10 crore flat, because he had earlier a 1 crore flat, he is not in a position to pay that 1 lakh maintenance.
Right.
So he starts fighting that, if you put AC in the lobby, well, what is the use for the watchman to have the AC? Switch it off.
Right.
I know, why are you having all the chandeliers on? Switch it off. Why are all the lifts running?
Well, I mean, there's no such thing as a free lunch. So if you're suddenly getting all these upgraded
And that
amenities,
is where people don't remember this going back towards when you are commercially negotiating. You will ask them, I want a big swimming pool, I want a squash court, I want a basketball court, I want a spa, I want this, I want an amphitheater, I want a preview theater. Who's going to pay for it? Because if you go pay as per use, it will not support itself.
right.
Because there won't
to.
be so many people using it.
Correct.
And if you ask everyone to pay for it, he'll say, but I don't use it. No?
But then why buy into a property that is?
Because you're doing it for status. See, we are all comparing ourselves, and I want my complex to be as good as the neighboring complex. So we are all becoming suckers in this game. Because he will throw in the thing, but you can't maintain it.
Right.
Especially when there's a mix. So that is a one important dimension which people forget.
Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome.
That's a wrap for this week's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Do share your thoughts and feedback in the comment section below. Hit the bell icon for regular notifications. Follow us on our social media handles given below. Thank you so much.